Hello, it's time. Wait, what time is it? What time is it? Well, it's time for Art Masterpiece, of course. This is Mrs. Griner, and today we are going to talk about time. What is your favorite time of day? Well, I really like breakfast. I sometimes make pancakes and sausage or bacon, but usually that's just on the weekend when we don't have to rush for school in the morning. How about you? What's your favorite time of day? All right. Well, today we get to do an American artist. Woohoo! So, let me introduce you to Edward Hopper. These are both self-portraits. That means he painted his own picture when he's a young man and then when he's a bit older. I think I like the one of when he's younger just because he has color. I really like color. Notice that he was born in 1882, but then he died in 1967. So, how long ago was that? He was born over 100 years ago, but the 60s, my parents were alive then. I bet your grandparents were. Well, he was born in New York. He had a sister, Marion, and they grew up in a happy home. He was a good student, yay, and he already showed talent for drawing when he was 5 years old. Both of his parents were encouraging his art, and they made sure that he had paint and ink and pencils and papers and canvas. And they even gave him magazines and books so that he could learn and also maybe copy what he saw. Mr. Hopper was a realist painter. So he painted real things, things that he would walk by and see, or maybe people. But he really liked light and architecture. Architecture is like buildings. He liked to do everyday things like restaurants or an office, a gas station, a movie theater, hotels, maybe houses, but especially buildings in like a city. Mr. Hopper would make sketches first of an actual place that he saw that was interesting, and then he'd go back to his studio where he worked, and that's where he would actually paint. He was concerned more about maybe the mood or feeling than what he actually saw. So in today's painting that I'm going to show you, it was a real place that he walked by, but then he maybe simplifies it. So he's not going to do it exactly. So if you walked by the same place, you would recognize it, but you would notice that it's not exactly the same because he's trying to get you to maybe think or feel a certain way. So let's take a look at our painting today. I'm not going to tell you the name just yet because I want you to guess. So this is our painting. What's the first thing you see? I see the clock. Now I'm going to try to get close, but because we're doing this not in person, you may not be able to see it quite as clearly. He actually did enough detail that we can see exactly what time it is. If you can't see it, it's okay. I'm going to show you a bigger clock. What time is it? Oh no, my clock might be backwards. Let's see if I can do this. Will you still be able to see it? Because there's light behind it? Yay, that works. Does anyone know what time that is? You should. I know you've been studying how to read clocks. If you said 7 o'clock, you're right. The hour hand, the little shorthand is on the 7, and the long minute hand is on the 12. So it's 7 o'clock. So we know it's 7 o'clock, but do you think it's 7 in the morning or 7 at night? AM or PM? Do we have some clues in our painting to show us? I think we do. Look at the lighting. Remember how I said that Edward Hopper liked lighting? There's a lot of light coming into this. This is a storefront. So think of maybe a small town in New York. Do you think it's in the morning or at night? It's actually the morning. It's 7 a.m. And did you know that's the name of this painting? 7 a.m. Isn't that interesting? He wanted to capture the light of 7 a.m. What does it look like outside your house at 7 a.m.? Are you still getting ready for school and are not outside yet? I actually really like to go outside in the morning because I can hear the birds, and the light is actually very special in the morning. It's usually a lot brighter than it is at night, and it has a cool feeling to it. So remember our color wheel, we have cool colors like blue or purple, sometimes gray, and white can be on there too. It's almost like we think of maybe cold or winter. So do you notice that we have blue, we have white, lots of white, but on the leaves of the trees, this is the sun shining, and this would be coming up in the east, right? So the sun is shining from the east. And the way the shadows are going, we feel this cool light and the shadow from the clock. If it was in the afternoon going into evening, so 7 p.m., we would have a warm glow. Think of sunset. Sunsets are like that yellow-orange light, maybe even red. But here we have a white and some yellow light. So we know that this is 7 a.m. Now there's not a lot going on in the store. There is this old cash register. And back in this time period, so this would probably be in the 30s, 20s, probably the 20s and the 30s. They had old cash registers that were made out of metal, and they would go ka-ching, and this little knob would pop up when they made a sale, and it would show the price of someone buying something. So we don't see any people, but someone must have come into the store for it to go pop up like that to say that they rang up a sale. Someone bought something. All we can see is a bookshelf and then some bottles and maybe some pictures. So I'm not exactly sure what they sold in this store. What do you think they might have sold in this store? It's possible that they sold photographs. Maybe this is a photographer studio. I'm not sure. We don't know. He doesn't tell us. But I like the contrast between this white building and then the dark of the forest. See how crisp that line is? It's almost like he had to use a ruler. It's so straight a line. Could you paint that straight? But I like how the sunlight is hitting the trees and then it follows this line. We have the line of the shadow is consistent. See, he had to do a parallel line between the shadow from the clock and the shadow here of the light coming through. And he had to do it on the picture frames. So remember, I said he is a realist. He used what we call realism to make his paintings look real. Whoop. There we go. Don't want to lose it. And so today, since we talked about Edward Hopper and realism, I'd like you to remember when you paint, how can you do something that's real? Are you going to pay attention to the lighting? Are you going to pay attention to the colors you use? Maybe you'll do a sunset picture. I really like sunsets. They're warm and they use orange and red and pink. Or maybe you'll do something like a morning where we use maybe white and blue and yellow and it's very crisp. Maybe it's even colder in the morning. Pay attention to light, and also if you want to simplify something and make a mood. So his paintings, they maybe sometimes feel a little lonely because there aren't many people. And maybe it's because he painted during the Great Depression. This is when people were kind of sad. A lot of people didn't have work. Maybe that's kind of similar to what we've been through this last year with the pandemic. Some people have lost their jobs and we've had to stay home. So maybe in your painting you could draw a school and nobody went to school for a while. Or maybe you would do your house and there's a lot of people at your house when we had to have school at home. And that would have not a lonely feeling because you're all with your family, but maybe if it was maybe a grandma or grandpa that they were alone because maybe you couldn't visit them for a while. In any case, let's think about contrast, color, and maybe time in your next art endeavor. Thank you so much, and until next time, we'll see you.